So I think we have Andy on the line.
Yes.
Hi, I'm here. Nice to see you guys, or
Hi, Andy. Nice to
hear
meet
you.
you. Nice to chat with you. It's kind of early for you. You in LA?
Yes, I am. It's about 9:30, 9:45.
Awesome. Well, thank you for dialing in our little podcast. We do this every week now that we're all in lockdown. Usually, it's more of a monthly thing, but gotta occupy ourselves. So this morning, I think you replied to Darren and said that you were part of the Euro Disney opening.
I was.
So you walked through that castle on April 12th.
I did. I played trombone in the All American Marching Band, and I was in the front row of all the parades, including during the opening telecast, and the end of which we all ran up to the left of the hub there and up into the castle right at the end. And I was one of the first kids, and it was amazing for me because I grew up in Anaheim near Disneyland, and I'd seen the old telecast of Disneyland opening in 1955 with all the kids running through the castle, and like I got to do that, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
That's amazing. How did you get to do it? Did you was there a casting, or did they recruit in Anaheim, or how did it work?
So the All American Marching Band is still in existence today. They play at Disneyland every summer, and it's a college program mostly that college kids that are in symphonic and marching bands can audition for all over the country and then come to Disneyland and play if they're chosen. But for the Euro Disney All American Marching Band, they recruited kids from high schools all over the country because they wanted this huge band. And I think there were 350 people in the marching band, which is one of the largest ever assembled. And kids from all over the country. You could audition, or I don't remember what the audition process was, or even if there is one. I think it was just basically anyone who could afford to go could go.
Oh, they didn't even fly you over. You had to go. You had to get there by yourself.
Oh no, yeah, this was something you had to pay for sure.
Oh, interesting.
And my parents gave it to me as a gift. I was a senior in high school, and that was my senior gift and trip.
I mean, what a memory!
Incredible.
Amazing. You don't get to open a resort like that often, right? I mean,
but you didn't just open.
Happened
It
six
wasn't
times.
just sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
It wasn't
6 times.
It wasn't just opening the resort at the park. It was the Disneyland Hotel, wasn't it, as well? And
Oh, wow.
and then with the Four Tops and the Temptations, and then at the park on the 12th in the morning as well.
Yeah, we were there. We were there actually 4 days before the opening, 4 or 5 days before the opening, rehearsing in these giant tents backstage, and out in these big parking lots and expansion pads for the park, and it was an incredible logistic feat that they pulled off, and in some ways they didn't pull off. It was kind of a incredible experience. I mean, I was one of the older kids there because I was already 18, and I had already traveled internationally because my mother was a travel agent, so I had some experience, being in foreign lands, as it were. And so I had all these kids that I was kind of in charge of. But the tour operators kind of screwed a lot of stuff up. I think they were kind of naive American tour operators and didn't realize that for instance, the hotel that we were staying in, the Hotel Ibis in East Paris,
Wow.
was in this very dangerous part of town, so we couldn't leave.
Especially at that time.
Yeah, we couldn't leave the hotel except to get on the bus for the hour-long ride out to the park every day. So
they didn't even put you in a Disney hotel.
Oh no! We all stayed in different hotels in different parts of Paris. It was not really well planned. And then the night of the actual opening, the buses couldn't get to us, so we ended up sleeping at the park after the park opened.
Where?
Exactly at the park. In the park?
Yeah, just like out in the backstage area, sleeping on the ground in the tent.
Oh wow! Which I'm sure now it's a fun memory, but back in the day that must have been quite stressing, especially
Outrageous. Yeah.
for people
I'll
who were
tell you
not
what.
used to travel internationally.
We were so tired because for 4 days we rehearsed and marched, and we had to learn all the formations. Like, for instance, the opening of the hotel was really complicated because we had to split up into all these different groups under the hotel in the tunnels there.
So
And
many
then
arches.
the drum majors, we had like probably 10 or 20 different drum majors, and they all had headsets on with the click track to the show. And so we had to just watch them and kind of play along to the track as best as we could.
But I suppose musically, these Disney songs are actually quite challenging. So to learn them all in sort of 4 days is amazing.
Right. And the arrangements weren't done until we got there either. And I think it was Tony Fox who did all the arrangements. He was the arranger for the USC Trojan Marching Band, and then Jim Christensen, who just passed last month. He was the representative from Disney who was there as the sort of a like house arranger. But it was an incredible experience. We rehearsed that opening for a day, and then of the hotel, and then we actually did it. And I remember a lot of kids were just so tired. Just if you're in the back and you're not on camera, they weren't even playing.
I
Oh my gosh.
suppose because you're jet lagged as well. You've sort of landed in Paris. You've been thrown into this hotel in the east of Paris. Then suddenly 2 days later, you're opening a hotel with music
Oh
you've
yeah,
never
and lots of
played
kids.
before.
Yeah, lots of kids were sick from the flight, and
Oh,
the
wow.
jet lag and everything, and it was just it was like being in the army, I imagine, or something.
It was quite complex, wasn't it? The opening of the Disneyland Hotel, because it say that there was the marching band, and there was the dancers, the characters, there were cars coming in. There were all sorts of elements to it.
And like I said, there was a click track to all of this. Like a click, click, click with the tempo of the music that was playing on the telecast. That the dancers could hear, that all of the the TV directors were cutting to, and everything like that. So our drum majors had headsets on, remote headsets, and they were the only ones who knew exactly where we were in the show, and we just had to kind of like follow them along and guess and hope we were right.
I guess the technology back then was not as easy as now. You couldn't have everyone with an earpiece. It was kind of like you had to follow people telling you what to do.
Right. Well, you look at the 2012 Olympics. Every single performer had an earpiece on, and that was not possible in 1992.
But the most iconic moment was marching out in front of the castle stage with the Four Tops and the Temptations on stage, and I'm obsessed with that scene because you just walk so fast into that theatre area. It's an epic moment, I think. Did you get to rehearse with them?
I still remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, I really do. I really, really remember that because I was right in front of the stage because, like I said, I showed you where I was in that thing. I was right there.
Yeah, right there.
I was on the stage left flank, which is, if you're looking at the stage to the right, I was on that right side, coming down right on the edge of that path, and then right up on the stage. And then what's so funny is that, like, for something like that, it's over as quick as it begins, because we basically were standing, all 300-400 of us, we were all standing and waiting on that path leading up to the amphitheater there, waiting for the cue. So we stood and we watched the whole show until it was time for us to actually march down and perform. And boy, you're right, we were moving really fast because it had to happen really fast.
It was perfect, though. It's absolutely
because it was supposed to be a surprise, Mm-hmm.
And it was huge. I remember watching it on television back home, and it was just this big moment. And I don't know what you call them, the lead captains coming in together and just joining at the front there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the drum majors, that was their idea
drum majors,
too.
Yeah.
That was their idea. They decided they were going to do that. It wasn't a rehearsed thing.
So did you get to rehearse with the Four Tops and the Temptations, or did that just happen live one time?
We did not rehearse with them. No. They had their own rehearsal facility, and I think they did a sound check, and then they went on. We had been practicing that piece, on and off with all the other pieces. You know, it was actually very, very. It was one of the easier pieces to play because it's just da 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 da. You know.
That was brilliant moment.
Did you get to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, after you finished with your duty, did you actually get time to explore the resort or anything, or was it sort of all over before you could have imagined?
No, we did. The actual opening day, the next day, we got to experience the park on our own. So it was on the press day was the next day. And that's when we got to, if I recall, that was the day we got to explore the park. And there was, I think we have, if I'm trying to remember, we did have one free day. I don't remember if it was the press day, because there was the day where we did the show. And then I think there was the day after that was press day that was not open to the public. I think that was the day that we were allowed to explore the park.
Yeah. Everything must have been freshly painted and brand new
to that point, the whole 4 days leading up to it, you talk about fresh paint. They were painting the park. I remember walking through Frontierland because there were times where, you know, we had like, it was, you know, it's just like the rest of entertainment. It's all hurry up and wait. So sometimes, you know, we'd be like, oh, well, we have 3 hours before they need us over here. So like we would just wander around the park when we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to stay in one particular area or whatever, but everyone would just like, you know, go off on their own. And
everyone's too busy to care.
Yeah, and exactly. And there was no security to speak of. I mean, I saw like Michael Jackson walking around by himself and Elizabeth Taylor and, you know, all these mega stars were there for the opening and just wandering around on their own because, you know, the park wasn't open. So, and it was just all, you know, the entertainment crews and whatever.
Big A-list celebrities went to that. It's about right? I mean, it doesn't sound so much now, but I think it cost about £5 million to put on that night.
Honestly, I have no idea. That doesn't surprise me. But
yeah, which is a lot of money then.
So. In the days leading up to it that we were rehearsing, the crews were painting overnight. You know, they had infrared lamps, you know, on the buildings to get the paint to dry faster.
I remember reading in my book didn't they have some places have tents as well where they would heat the tents to try and get the paint to dry quicker.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting because that can hark back to Disneyland where, you know, they were finishing the same morning.
It's kind of a tradition, isn't it? I wonder if they were painting Shanghai Disneyland at the last minute, or if now they've sort of have a better, you know, timeline.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's you know, building a theme park is an incredibly complex thing to do. I mean, I worked on the Warner Brothers World in Abu Dhabi for 3 years. I did about a third of the music for that park and half the sound. And I was there for the opening. I was there actually like at my own expense, like on vacation. And I was there 6 days before it opened, and I wasn't on the ground for 15 minutes before I was put to work mixing this or editing that or whatever. And we were doing it right up until the actual opening.
Gosh. So you went through the castle as the fireworks were going off, the ribbon being cut. You were going through the castle, and then you went through to Fantasyland. Were you then? Did you have to stand in Fantasyland, or were you ushered somewhere else?
We were all just like screaming and yelling and hugging each other and jumping up and down, and you know, our instruments in the air and everything like that. It was a really emotional. It was really emotional, not only that what we were doing, but what we had done. It was the culmination of 5 days of exhaustive work and you know, no sleep and no food and no fun. And, you know, we were just a bunch of kids, and it was just like, that was the end of the show, and we'd finally done it. And, you know, I remember too, is that a lot of us, we all stopped in the middle of the castle, you know, in the atrium there, and we were all stopping there, but there were 300 people still to come after us. And they had to push us through onto the other side, you know, like, everybody keep moving.
Wow. Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Was there a kind of sense at that moment of how huge the moment was?
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. I mean, it was, you know, we all knew it was live television. and the fireworks were going off, and it was there were fireworks on the castle and around the castle, and so it was a little bit like a war zone too, with the pyro going off
I
directly
heard
over our
in a book
heads.
I read, someone said that the pyro was actually falling down on you guys as you were coming through.
Yeah, yeah. There, but it wasn't. We didn't feel unsafe. I never felt unsafe. It was just, it was
Part of the excitement, I guess.
so exciting. Yeah, the adrenaline was through the roof.
Because I really haven't sort of done anything since then as big as this when they've opened the park or anything sort of worldwide broadcast with all these A-listers. So it really was a moment.
It's definitely the last time they did that.
That is the biggest press moment for any park, I think. I mean, anniversaries are big and important, but I think you never get again to that level. Just like Shanghai will never get again to that level, or even Tokyo.
Shanghai didn't even have this sort of big opening as much that was broadcast.
Shanghai had a toned down opening because of the whole stuff happening in Florida. If you remember, they had to tone it down.
Well, Shanghai had a big opening for China. I mean, it was a very Chinese. It was a very Chinese opening, with the, sit and watch show and the special pyro show and there was a special broadcast in China as well, but it wasn't the exuberant kind of Western
flamboyant
live extravaganza like they had.
Well, I think they were kind of mindful of that too, right? They wanted to make sure that they weren't coming off too strong culturally and not too American and not too, it's a delicate balance, I think, in China. Whether in Europe, they just went for it because, they thought Europe would embrace the park maybe a little more than they did. It was rough beginnings, but
for sure.
But the opening ceremony definitely was world class. Have you been back to the park since then? I'm assuming you have.
What's funny is that two years later, in 1994, I went back with my parents, and we had a vacation there. And that is the last time I was there. I was going to go again this spring. I have some clients in Belgium. Hi Etienne, if you're listening. If I was going to come out there and we were going to go, I was hoping to see their Disneyland Paris with snow this year, but
it's beautiful.
Maybe next year.
It is quite rare though. I mean, all of us on social media, we make such a big deal out of it, but really, there's only about a couple days every year that is really bright and beautiful. Yeah. Then it melts and becomes more of a mess.
Hazardous.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier to us that you did a bit of work with Imagineering as well.
That for what?
That you did some work with Imagineering. Did you say?
Yeah. So while I was at USC, I had the great fortune of meeting a lot of really great mentors, and one of them was Glenn Barker at Imagineering, and he gave me a job there in the audio video department for about a year or so, and I basically was just sort of an assistant there for a while. But I got to be there. It was funny. It was a weird time. It was after Disneyland Paris, before Animal Kingdom, so it was a lot of weird corporate layoff kind of stuff happening. But
do you sort of hear about all the projects that are going on as you're working there, or is it all quite confidential?
No, once you're in there and you're working there, you know everything for the most part. Wow. I mean, I saw all kinds of sculptures for the Beastly Kingdom part of Animal Kingdom that got shelved, and they were sculpting the Tree of Life and the all the safari rockworks and things like that. I could walk through all of the top secret areas and whatever, behind the black curtains, and see all these sculptors sculpting the yellow foam for the rockwork and everything. It was really cool.
Amazing.
And I got to go to the recording session for the orchestra for the Spaceship Earth with Jeremy Irons.
Oh, no way.
Oh wow.
Wow.
That is such a fan,
Yeah.
Do you know how many fans
walking around that building?
How many fans would love to be there for that? I guess we're getting a new narration soon, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I guess we're getting a new narration for Spaceship Earth at some point.
I think it's going to be all new. I think it's going to be all new music and narration, and I think there's going to be a lot of new show scenes and augmentations of the show scenes and whatever. I mean, they're going to be closed for so long. It's going to be on even now. It's probably longer. So it's going to be like probably, I would guess, 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, you'll
That was gonna be
definitely
like a hefty
you definitely
renovation.
have to come and visit when the new extension opens at Walt Disney Studios because we're getting Marvel, Frozen,
sure.
and all those things.
Andy, I've got a great idea though. The 30th anniversary is coming soon. Could we recreate this marching band for the 30th?
Oh my gosh!
That's kind of my new dream now.
How many people do you know who were in the band? Are you still in touch with anyone?
Just a few of them. After we got back, we all went to our different colleges and universities and whatever. And I lost touch with most of them, but I think it's possible. I mean, I'm planning on going for the 30th anniversary for sure, barring any further global calamities.
Did you get to keep the uniforms, the outfits? Because they all had every band member had the same outfit, wasn't it?
I kept the shield with the big plastic shield with the D on it. So here's the deal with the uniforms. I say uniforms in quotes because we were all wearing our own band uniforms.
Okay.
With these overlays that they put on us, the capes and the shield and the spats for the shoes.
So most of it was yours anyway.
Huh?
So most of it was just yours anyway.
Right. So and I kept and it was just I kept that plastic fabric covered shield with the D on it, and unfortunately I had it in a storage space that I lost years and years ago. So unfortunately, I lost all that stuff.
Oh, it looked great though in uniform, all of them together. It was a really smart look.
Yeah, it was very effective. I mean, with all of the logistical snafus that the trip had in store for us, it definitely was mission accomplished for the opening.
Did you get to meet any of the Disney execs like Michael Eisner or anyone else?
No. We were so separate. I mean, because I knew our partner and Tony Fox from USC, because I was going to USC that fall, I'd already met them, and I was from Anaheim, and I knew Buddy Baker and all this kind of stuff. I was singled out to be the one kid that was interviewed. We did a whole interview with what's his name, Pat O'Brien.
Wow.
So I hung out with Pat O'Brien for a while because I was interviewed as like the representative of the band. They were going to do a little package about the band during the telecast, and we recorded this whole interview with me. As like, here's one of the band members of this, the band that you can see that's really blurry. And unfortunately, they never aired it. They were going to use it for like Good Morning America or one of the Today shows or one of those, but unfortunately, it never aired. But I got to. What the best part was for me is that I got to like hang out and not rehearse for like 2 or 3 hours.
Because there is it's about 30-minute YouTube program that I linked you with last night. That's a complete behind the scenes look of what the marching band did.
What that is that was a VHS that we all got in the mail like 6 months later.
Wow.
And I think my mom still has that VHS somewhere. But I hadn't seen that, in 25 years.
Really, it's an amazing watch. It's so incredible to watch that program. Yeah.
It was so emotional for me to watch. I watched the whole thing last night, laying in bed, like quietly weeping.
You said, "I'm crying. I'm crying." I'm sorry.
It was very emotional, really emotional.
For sure, yeah.
Especially to see a young, handsome version of myself with all my hair.
It's a throwback, yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions? Jeff?
I just wanted to know. Sorry, I'm not Jeff. I'm
Patrick.
I just wanted to know. So you've been to Anaheim before you went to Disneyland Paris. Your Disney. Did you go to Anaheim before? You knew the parks, I imagine.
Had I been to Anaheim before?
Yeah.
I grew up in Anaheim.
So you'd obviously been to Disneyland. So what was the kind of the feeling about going to your Disney? Was it like similar? Was it different? How was it like? What did you do? What was your kind of impressions knowing that you already knew a Disney park already?
Well, I mean, I've been to Disneyland hundreds of times before that. I mean, I literally would ride my bike there and hang out all summer. But I had been following it in various nerd outlets at the time, like Storyboard Magazine and others, and newspaper and other magazine articles about Disneyland Paris being designed and built and things like that, and also the National Fantasy Fan Club conventions, which is what turned into D23 kind of years and years ago. So, I mean, I'd seen like the castle, I knew about Phantom Manor, and I knew that it was a very much more artistic and richly artistic interpretation of the typical castle park. And I knew a lot about what it was, and I'd seen a lot of pictures and construction pictures and stuff. So, but to be there and see it in person, was, it's indescribable. It was nothing like it existed at the time. And to see such a beautifully artistic interpretation of this place that I already knew so well, it was, it's blows your mind, especially at a young age. I remember specifically being really dazzled by the incredibly detailed and intricate main street that they have there. That was, it's like the Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, Walt Disney World, Disneyland sort of like combined in terms of scale,
with the beauty of the arcades,
with the addition of the arcade on the east side. But it was just like there was so much more detail and story in each building, and it was I remember just being blown away by that. Also, I loved Phantom Manor. It was actually kind of scary at parts, with all the skeletons and whatnot, compared to the Haunted Mansions in the U.S.
Was that your favorite attraction, or did you have another favorite attraction at Disneyland Paris?
No, my favorite attraction was by far the Visionarium. The Timekeeper. I loved the Visionarium. I remember on the last few hours of my last day there, all I did was I just went on the Visionarium like over and over and over again. Mainly because I love the music. The Bruce Broughton score was just incredible.
So you came from Anaheim and you went into Discoveryland for the first time. How was that, going into a land that is kind of familiar but a bit different?
Well, the Discoveryland is really different from the Tomorrowland at Disneyland. It's that sort of steampunk Jules Verne kind of, style. What was really interesting was to see the Hyperion blimp design in the Discoveryland. That I had seen the art for the Discoveryland, the Discovery Bay that was intended for Disneyland, where the Star Wars land is now. To see that, it was a really cool thing to see how Imagineering can interpret a design from one thing into another, completely repurposed, for this, Tomorrowland, Discoveryland, as it were.
Yeah, ideas never die. You always see some concepts that are canceled and just pop up 10 years later somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyone else? More questions? No. Okay.
It's been amazing.
Well, thank you.
Probably so many, but
yeah,
another time.
Thank you so much
Should I check Twitter?
For
see if anyone has any questions.
Sure. I mean, I haven't seen anything yet. Thank you so much for dialing into our little anniversary live podcast. It was such a nice surprise. I'm so glad we connected with you. And don't be a stranger.
Well, it was my pleasure, and it was very serendipitous that I happened to see that tweet and commented, and well, here we are. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And no problem.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Darren.
Wonderful to hear your stories.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
And we'll.
We just have a tweet from Rachel saying that this is the best Disney stories. Great guest today.
Thank you, Rachel.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we're gonna take another music break, and we've done the 5th anniversary. And did we do the 10th anniversary? No, we do the 10th anniversary now. So this is the 10th anniversary song, which is actually the name of the track.
Imagination brand.
Yeah, they just didn't really. They were like, "Well, it's the 10th anniversary. We're just gonna have that song."
Wasn't it only one day that year? They didn't actually do anything for the year, did they?
Yeah, because the 10th anniversary was when they opened studios, wasn't it? So I think the spotlight was very much on Walt Disney Studios, and so Disneyland Park only had.
Regretfully.
They had like a scroll in the castle for about 2 or 3 days, maybe. It was this very ornate, amazing scroll that lit up at night, and it's only for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also added a float on the parade, but I can't remember for how long for. It was just a big cake.
It's a cake, before the Wonderful World of Disney Parade.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that's the one that had Mickey and Minnie black and white, right?
And the steamboat.
The best parade.
Yes,
it was
that's
good.
the one.
Yeah. All right, so here's the 10th anniversary song, and we'll be right back in 3 minutes.
10 years we've whistled while we worked
and had a laugh or two.
We walked with you upon a dream
and watched our dream come true.
'Cause when we wished upon a star, then you appeared, my friends.
Now in our small world, after all, the party never ends. A party where? We got invited. Of course you are.
Thank you, everyone. Depuis 10 ans, it's been such fun.
We hope you agree.
Merci from Disneyland party.
Merci for good times together.
10 years now on to forever.
'Cause here the magic will never stop. So come and see. It's a birthday to be celebrated. Whether you are live or animated, in a world that you and I created.